Okay, next game. Those are the only two games I won on time. So, go tensor extension. This is against Ferdinand Heller's Swedish GM. Turns out he was born the same year I was. And this was played in Iceland in 1990. I had a very good tournament there. Another game I'm going to show you that I won from there. It's very cold. So I played my usual opening. And I've told this story before on the stream, but some of the viewers are new. So when I was playing in this tournament, my friend Luke Winans passed away a couple of years ago. He was the best player in Belgium when I lived in Belgium. And he lived, a few miles from me, and he'd come over sometimes. I never went to his place. Huh? Anyway, we used to analyze this opening together. He played it before I did, and he showed me the ropes. And anyway, we got a position I never got before, which is this one. Okay. And when I went to Reykjavik to play in the tournament, this wasn't like you go on the internet and see the other games of the tournament. This was 1990. So we didn't do that. In 1990, you had to wait for magazines or books to be published so you could see games from tournaments. Anyway, I got home from Reykjavik. I flew from Reykjavik to Luxembourg, and then I took a train from Luxembourg to Brussels, and then I took a taxi, I think, to my apartment. I walked into my apartment, and my phone rang when I walked in. And I said, hello. And he said, hey, Ben, it's Luke. I just came back from a tournament in Lyon. It was the zonal for the France, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. France, Belgium, Netherlands. And I said, I just got back from a tournament in Reykjavik. And he said, how did you do? And he's telling me how he did. How did I do? And I said, I beat Hellers with black in 23 moves. And his response to that was Queen A4. That was his response. And I said, how did you know? So he guessed what opening it was, what color I had, what position we had, and what mistake Hellers made. That's why some people are grandmasters and some people are you. That was one of the most amazing things I ever heard on the phone, was Queen A4. All just a guess. So I said, how did you know? And he said, in Lyon, I had this position. And my opponent was considering Queen A4, then realized it was bad and played some boring move, and the game ended in a draw soon thereafter. Okay, and Queen A4 loses the game. And there's a book you never heard of because you're not old enough called ECO. And if you were alive in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, then you've heard of ECO. In one of the ECOs, which is the C one, it's blue, it covers this variation, and it just says Queen A4, and then it says it's interesting. There's no analysis. It is like MCO. That's true. Did you know Fisher personally? No. Never met Fisher. A Lonely Zen subscribed. Thank you. Okay, so now black is winning. Can anybody explain how? Yeah, anybody? Sasun got it. And Sasun's on YouTube instead of Twitch. That's crazy. Don't let Sasun go down on me. Don't let Sasun. You were shocked but not surprised? The truth hurts. Yeah, there we go, CL Smith. G5. When I played G5, my opponent put his head down and shook his head for like a minute. Okay, so he played bishop G3, and I played G4, and now if he moves his knight, I take his knight. So the engine says I'm plus 2.28. He played rook a d1, which is the engine move. My queen's attacked, so I moved it. And here I played the best move, by far the best move, knight h5. Want to take his bishop. He played queen c6, attacking my rook. The engine says I should play bishop a6, but I took the bishop, which is also winning. And then here it says I should play bishop b7, which I did. And he has 2 pawns for a piece, but he doesn't have any passed pawns. And in this position, I was always confused. He played queen c6, and I played the engine move again because my pawn's attacked. This pawn's attacked, but I just played king g7 because I don't want to lose any of my pawns. And this position, I always got confused. So, like, oh, I think I unconfused myself. No, I'm still confused. So in this position, like I'm threatening this pawn, and it looks like I'm threatening this pawn, but I'm not. Because if I take this pawn, he takes my bishop. Because my bishop's pinning his pawn. So I didn't understand why he played rook d3. I thought he should defend his e-pawn. The engine also doesn't defend his e-pawn. I don't understand why he's not defending his e-pawn and why the engine doesn't. I'm very confused. All right, let's defend the pawn. It says rook a d8 is plus 4. Okay, that's fine. Okay, he played rook d3. I don't understand. And in this position, he resigned. Very reasonable. And when I showed this game to my housemates, because we were staying at a guest house in Reykjavik, and the other housemates were Keith Arkell, and he was married to Susan Arkell at the time, and Howell, James Howell, not David Howell. I don't think David Howell was born yet. James Howell is a British IM, and Thomas the Hitman Ernst, the Swedish IM who later became a GM. And when I showed them the game, I said, here Heller's resigned, and they were like, why did he resign? Sort of insulting to me. I'm like, he's down a piece, and he's got nothing. The engine says I'm plus 3.76. Also, obviously, he was upset at, letting me play G5 and win. What the housemates should have said is, I'm going to show you the game I beat Heller's, and one of them should have said Queen A4. That would have made more sense. Yeah, Thomas the Hitman Ernst. Good nickname. All these people quit chess. Although Keith Arkell still plays. I think Susan still plays too. She married Bogdan Lalich. I don't know if they're still married. Her and Keith got divorced and she married Lalich. But I don't know if her and Lalich are still married. And her maiden name, which nobody knows but me, even she doesn't know, is Susan Walker. So she was Susan Walker, then Susan Arkell, then Susan Lalich, and now I don't know if she's still married to Lalich. She was about 2,200, and I have a funny story about her. There was a Blitz tournament that was very strong, where I actually tied for third in Reykjavik, and there was a game between Keith Arkell and somebody like Bronstein. I don't know if it was Bronstein, but it might have been. And I was sitting next to the game because I was playing my game. And I look over, and Keith Arkell's opponent, their flag has fallen, and Keith doesn't notice. And Susan Arkell, under the table, kicked Keith. And then he was like, oh, your flag's down. The truth hurts. But, they're married, so as a couple, I think she's allowed to do that. Now, that joke that I just made is based on a true story. Reshevsky was playing in a tournament, and his wife called his opponent's flag, and Reshevsky said due to Jewish law, they're considered as one, so she's allowed to call his flag. But he wasn't kidding. I was kidding, but they weren't kidding. Reshevsky would approve, right, C.L. Smith? Yeah. The chess version of an angle shoot. That's right. Very good. Anyway, he won on time, so it all worked out for Arkell. Except they got divorced later.